I'm a 29-year-old guy, and like every summer since I can remember, I found myself driving up to my grandparents' lake house for our annual family reunion. It's the kind of tradition my grandparents cherish, the whole extended family under one roof, eating way too much food, swapping stories, and pretending we're all still as close as we were when we were kids. Except this year, things felt different. It was the first reunion since the pandemic. Everyone was hyped to finally gather again, but I had this nagging feeling that not everything would go smoothly. It never does when my cousin Lisa is involved. Lisa is the type of person who thrives on attention, whether it's good or bad. She's always been the one to stir up drama, drop passive-aggressive comments, and then sit back like she's completely innocent. It's exhausting. On the other hand, there's Jake, my other cousin, who's always been my partner in crime at these things. We've been close since we were kids, and if there's anyone who understands the chaos Lisa brings, it's him. When I arrived, everything seemed fine at first. My grandparents were all smiles, thrilled to see everyone. My mom and aunts were bustling around in the kitchen, and the kids were already running wild on the lawn. Jake and I caught up near the dock, talking about work, life, and of course what to expect this year. That's when Jake gave me a heads up. Lisa's been acting weird, he said, lowering his voice, like overly friendly. Watch your back. It didn't take long to see what he meant. Lisa showed up late, making her usual grand entrance. She was dressed to the nines, heels, flashy jewelry, the whole 9 yards, which stood out against the casual vibe of the gathering. She breezed in, making a point to comment on how quiet I'd been, which was odd since I hadn't even spoken to her yet. Something about the way she said it gave me the impression she was already setting the stage for something. The day went on and everything seemed normal until it didn't. At some point, Lisa started dropping these cryptic hints in conversations. It was subtle at first, like when she told one of my aunts, "Oh, some people have a lot going on under the surface," while glancing in my direction. Later, I overheard her casually mention to someone else that I'd been keeping a low profile lately, and that it's always the quiet ones you have to watch out for. I brushed it off at first, figuring it was just Lisa being Lisa. But then Jake came over looking annoyed. "She's been talking about you nonstop," he said. "Something about you having something big to hide." I laughed it off, but it started to bug me. Why was she singling me out? I tried to avoid her, but the whispers started spreading. I caught 2 of my aunts talking near the buffet table, throwing glances my way. Phrases like irresponsible and selfish floated over, though they quickly changed the subject when they saw me looking. By mid-afternoon, I'd had enough. I pulled Lisa aside near the edge of the yard, away from the main crowd, and asked her straight up what her deal was. She gave me this innocent look and said I was overreacting. According to her, she hadn't said anything negative about me at all. It was classic Lisa, twisting things to make herself look like the victim. Jake wasn't having it. He came over and backed me up, pointing out the things she'd been saying and how it was obviously meant to stir up drama. Lisa just smirked and shrugged it off, acting like we were both crazy. Not long after that, Lisa found her next audience. I walked into the living room to hear her telling a group of cousins that I was facing legal trouble and that she had heard it from a reliable source. The worst part? She said it with this tone of mock concern, like she was just being a good cousin by bringing it up. By now, half the family was giving me weird looks. Some of them outright avoided me, while others seemed indifferent. I could feel the tension rising, and it was only a matter of time before my grandparents got involved. Sure enough, they overheard something and pulled me aside. They didn't accuse me of anything but asked if there was something going on that they should know about. I had no idea what to say. How do you even explain this kind of nonsense without sounding paranoid? By the end of the day, I was frustrated and exhausted. I knew I couldn't let this slide, but I also didn't want to blow up the reunion. I decided to take the issue online, posting about it on Reddit to vent and ask for advice. The responses flooded in, with people urging me to gather evidence and confront Lisa publicly. It gave me a glimmer of hope that I could turn things around, but for now, I was stuck in the middle of a brewing family storm. And that was just day 1. Update 1. Dinner at my grandparents' house is always a big deal during these reunions. Long tables set up, the smell of roasted chicken and casseroles filling the air, and everyone squeezed into the dining room. This year, though, the atmosphere was different. The tension from earlier in the day was impossible to ignore. People kept glancing at me, whispering to each other, and pretending like nothing was wrong. Jake gave me a look from across the table, a silent "are we doing this now" kind of expression. I nodded. It was time. Just as the conversation started to pick up over dessert, I spoke up. I told everyone I needed to address something. The room went quiet instantly. Forks paused mid-air. I turned to Lisa and asked her directly to explain the things she'd been saying about me all day. She froze for a second, then leaned back in her chair like I'd just accused her of stealing the family silverware. Lisa played innocent, claiming she had no idea what I was talking about. The way she feigned confusion would have been convincing to anyone who didn't know her better. She threw in a line about being hurt by the accusation, which only made her look more innocent to the relatives who hadn't been paying attention earlier. Jake didn't let her off the hook. He jumped in, recounting the specific comments she'd been making about me throughout the day. He didn't hold back either, listing everything she'd said, including the part about me having something big to hide. This sparked a ripple through the room. Some relatives turned to Lisa, waiting for her to respond. Others looked at me like I was overreacting for bringing it up. Lisa, of course, didn't miss a beat. She acted like she'd been completely misunderstood. According to her, she hadn't meant anything malicious and was just concerned for me. It was textbook Lisa, twist the story and make herself look like the victim. Things took a turn when Lisa suddenly brought up evidence, She claimed she'd heard from a reliable source that I'd been fired from my job for stealing. This was news to me. I wasn't fired from my job. I left voluntarily to start freelancing. But her delivery was so confident that it made some people at the table hesitate. You could see the gears turning in their heads, wondering if there was some truth to what she was saying. I laid out the facts. I explained that I hadn't been fired, that I left my job on my own terms, and that I had no idea where Lisa was getting this story. The problem was, Lisa wasn't backing down. She doubled down, insisting her source was credible but refusing to name who it was. At this point, the table was split. Some family members started questioning her, asking who this source was and why she wouldn't name them if she was so confident. Others seemed more inclined to believe her, citing how Lisa has always been honest in the past. Honest? Sure, if you call starting rumors and creating drama honest. My parents stayed mostly quiet during the whole thing, which wasn't surprising. They've always been the type to avoid conflict, especially in front of the whole family. Later, they pulled me aside to say they believed me but didn't want to stir the pot any further. Jake wasn't letting it go. After dinner, he came up with an idea, find out who Lisa's reliable source was, and shut this thing down once and for all. He figured if we could prove she was lying, the whole thing would unravel. I agreed, but when I confronted Lisa privately and asked her to name her source, she refused. She said she'd promised to keep it confidential and accused me of trying to intimidate her. By the next morning, the fallout was in full swing. A few family members started avoiding me entirely. Others were awkwardly polite but distant, like they didn't know whether to believe me or Lisa. It was exhausting. Even Jake noticed it, commenting that some people had bought into Lisa's story without even questioning it. The cherry on top was when my grandparents pulled both of us aside. They said they wanted this issue resolved quietly for the sake of family peace. I could tell they were uncomfortable, caught between wanting to support me and not wanting to alienate Lisa. I told them I'd do my best, but deep down, I knew I couldn't just let this slide. That night, I updated Reddit. I explained what had happened, from the confrontation at dinner to Lisa's refusal to name her source. The responses poured in. Most people encouraged me to stay calm, collect evidence, and focus on facts. A few suggested getting Jake to dig deeper into Lisa's claims or even going public with proof if it came to that. One thing was clear, I needed to clear my name, even if it risked further family drama. Lisa wasn't going to back down, and the only way to stop her was to expose her lies with hard evidence. Jake and I started coming up with a plan to do exactly that. This isn't over. Update 2. After the fallout from the dinner confrontation, I knew I couldn't leave things hanging. Lisa's story was gaining traction with some family members, and her refusal to name her so-called reliable source only made me more determined to clear my name. Jake and I decided to dig in and gather proof to expose her lies. The first thing I did was email the HR department at my previous job. I requested an official confirmation that I had resigned voluntarily and left on good terms. It felt a little surreal to be doing this over family drama, but at this point, I needed hard evidence to fight back. While waiting for a response, things escalated. Lisa doubled down. By the next afternoon, she was telling more family members that I owed thousands in restitution to my former employer. I overheard snippets of conversations where she claimed she was trying to be discreet to avoid embarrassing me further. Jake told me she was weaving this narrative that I had been caught doing something illegal and quietly let go. Jake didn't waste any time. He approached Lisa under the guise of wanting to clear things up. While she was talking, he hit record on his phone. She rambled on about shady behavior and how she was protecting the family by bringing it up. She was careful not to name her source, but her tone made it clear she was enjoying the attention. The recording wasn't the smoking gun we needed, but it showed her intent. This wasn't about concern, it was about drama. A few days later, I got the response from HR. They sent an official letter confirming my voluntary resignation, stating that I left to pursue freelance work and that my record with the company was clean. This was the break I needed. With the letter in hand, Jake and I started addressing the skeptical family members one by one. We sat down with a few of the more neutral relatives, those who hadn't outright sided with Lisa but hadn't supported me either. I showed them the letter and explained the situation calmly. Some of them apologized right away, admitting they'd been unsure of what to believe. A few were hesitant, saying they didn't want to take sides, but at least they stopped giving me the cold shoulder. Meanwhile, Lisa began avoiding direct conversations. Anytime someone asked her to clarify her accusations, she deflected, saying she didn't want to cause more tension. She even started leaving group chats early and spent most of the reunion on her phone, probably trying to gauge how much damage control she needed. When I shared the letter with my grandparents, they were clearly relieved. They apologized for doubting me, saying they'd been caught off guard by the whole situation. It was a bittersweet moment. I appreciated their support, but it stung to know they'd even considered Lisa's story. Jake, however, wasn't done. He decided it was time to share the recording. During a lull in the afternoon, he posted it in the family group chat with a simple caption, for those still wondering. The recording was explosive. Hearing Lisa's voice, dripping with condescension, as she spun her tale about my supposed shady behavior, left little room for doubt about her intentions. Lisa's reaction was immediate. She stormed out of the main house and spent the rest of the evening in her car. Later, she sent a flurry of texts accusing Jake and me of ganging up on her and making her the family scapegoat. By the next morning, she'd packed up and left the reunion entirely. The fallout was mixed. Some family members who had sided with Lisa started reaching out to apologize. They admitted they'd been swayed by her confidence and her track record of honesty in the past. Others, though, stayed silent, clearly uncomfortable with how things had played out. A few even tried to suggest that Jake and I had gone too far by sharing the recording. For the family as a whole, the situation hit a breaking point. My grandparents called a meeting, hoping to resolve things once and for all. They asked Lisa to join, but she refused, citing emotional distress. Without her there, the meeting became more of a reflection on the reunion and how things had gotten so out of hand. My grandparents made it clear they wanted peace moving forward, but they also acknowledged that trust had been broken. Before the reunion officially ended, I shared the HR letter in the group chat. It felt like the final nail in the coffin for Lisa's claims. Most family members accepted it as proof that I'd been telling the truth all along. Even the few holdouts who had stayed neutral seemed to back off, no longer questioning my side of the story. That night, I updated Reddit again. I shared everything: the HR letter, the recording, and how the family was reacting. The support was overwhelming. People encouraged me to keep standing my ground and not let Lisa's drama overshadow the truth. A few warned me to prepare for retaliation, but I was already expecting it. Lisa wasn't the type to let things go quietly. For now, though, I feel like I've turned a corner. My name is mostly cleared, and the family is starting to see Lisa for who she really is. Still, something tells me this isn't over. If there's one thing I've learned about Lisa, it's that she always has another card up her sleeve. I'll keep you all updated. Update 3. After Lisa left the reunion early, I thought things might finally settle down. I was wrong. A couple of days later, I got a text from an unknown number. It read, "I know what you did, and I have proof. You should come clean before this gets worse." No context, no name, but it was clear this was tied to Lisa. The timing was too convenient to be a coincidence. Jake and I immediately started digging. Jake, being the tech-savvy one, traced the number. It turned out to be a burner phone, which only made it more suspicious. We couldn't confirm it was Lisa, but the message's vague threat felt like her style: stir the pot, then sit back and watch the chaos unfold. While we were trying to figure out the source of the message, Lisa started posting on social media. Her posts were cryptic, vague, and clearly aimed at me. One said, "Funny how people can fool everyone but not forever. The truth always comes out." Another read, "Some people just can't handle accountability. Toxic family vibes." Relatives began to notice and started speculating. Some reached out to ask if I knew what she was talking about. It was clear her posts were designed to make people think I was hiding something. Lisa's strategy was simple: let the drama simmer online and let everyone else fill in the blanks. As if the vague posts weren't enough, Lisa kicked things up a notch. By midweek, I started hearing whispers of a new rumor. This time, Lisa was telling people I wasn't just jobless, I was financially dependent on my parents. She claimed I was living at home, broke, and refusing to take responsibility for my mistakes. The rumor gained traction fast. Even though I'd already proven her previous claims false, some family members couldn't resist gossiping. My parents caught wind of it and were furious. They tried to confront Lisa directly, but she deflected, insisting she was being unfairly targeted and just repeating what she'd heard. I updated Reddit about the new developments. The overwhelming advice was clear: consult a lawyer. People suggested that Lisa's behavior had crossed into defamation territory and that it was time to take legal steps to protect myself. After discussing it with Jake, I decided to get a professional opinion. The lawyer I consulted agreed that Lisa's actions were problematic. The social media posts, the rumors, and the anonymous message painted a picture of someone trying to harm my reputation. He advised sending her a cease and desist letter to formally demand that she stop spreading false information. Before we could finalize the letter, Lisa showed up unannounced at a casual family gathering. It wasn't a formal event, just a few relatives catching up at my grandparents' house, but her arrival immediately shifted the mood. She walked in, glanced around, and started talking loudly about how she'd been villainized for no reason. She didn't waste time turning her attention to me. In front of everyone, she accused me of trying to divide the family and make her look bad. It was a bold move, considering everything she'd already done, but Lisa thrives on confrontation. Jake stepped in before I could respond. He called her out for the chaos she'd caused, pointing out how her actions had made the reunion miserable for everyone. Things got heated quickly. Lisa fired back, claiming she was the real victim, and that Jake and I had been ganging up on her from the start. The argument was so loud that my grandparents had to step in to break it up. They were visibly upset, and I couldn't blame them. The reunion was supposed to bring the family together, not tear it apart. After calming everyone down, they made a firm announcement: anyone causing further drama would not be invited to future reunions. It was clear the message was aimed at Lisa, though they didn't mention her by name. Lisa, of course, played the victim card. She burst into tears, accusing the family of bullying her and claiming she was being unfairly singled out. A few relatives tried to comfort her, but the majority were silent, clearly fed up with the situation. The next day, I finalized the cease and desist letter and had it delivered to Lisa. Her reaction was predictable and over the top. She called several family members, accusing me of trying to silence her and claiming the letter was proof that I had something to hide. She even hinted that she might take legal action against me, though it was clear she was bluffing. I updated Reddit again, sharing everything that had happened since the reunion. The anonymous text, the cryptic social media posts, the new rumor, and the cease and desist letter, every twist and turn. The responses were a mix of support and outrage. Many users suggested additional legal steps or strategies for dealing with Lisa, while others shared similar experiences with toxic family members. For now, things are quiet. Lisa hasn't responded publicly to the letter, but I'm not convinced she's done. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that Lisa doesn't back down easily. The family is still divided, though more people seem to be seeing her true colors. I'm staying prepared for whatever comes next and will keep Reddit updated as things unfold. Update 4. It didn't take long for the fallout from Lisa's antics to hit a boiling point. After the cease and desist letter and her cryptic accusations, the family divided into camps. A handful of relatives started openly defending Lisa, claiming she wouldn't make things up without a reason. They argued she had always been a truth teller and was being unfairly targeted by me and Jake. Meanwhile, others decided to stay out of it altogether, claiming they didn't want to take sides. Their neutrality frustrated Jake and me, as it felt like they were giving Lisa a free pass. Jake wasn't one to let things rest. While I focused on addressing the rumors directly, he started looking into Lisa's behavior at past family events. It didn't take him long to find a pattern. Lisa had been stirring up drama for years, subtly at first, then escalating when she saw an opportunity. Jake reminded me about the time she spread a rumor that another cousin had been caught shoplifting, only for it to come out later that she'd made it up to deflect attention from her own trouble at school. There was also the time she convinced half the family that our uncle had a drinking problem, which turned out to be another fabrication. When Jake shared these examples with relatives who were on the fence, it started to shift the narrative. More people began questioning Lisa's motives. The cease and desist letter didn't silence Lisa, it pushed her to go public. A few days after the letter was delivered, she posted a tearful video on social media. In the video, she accused me of harassing her, claimed I was trying to silence her truth, and painted herself as the victim of a family smear campaign. Her performance was over the top, complete with shaky voice and dramatic pauses. She didn't mention my name directly but dropped enough hints that everyone knew who she was talking about. The video gained traction quickly. Extended family members started reaching out, asking what was going on. Even acquaintances from outside the family messaged me, wanting to hear my side of the story. Lisa's tactic was clear: shift the narrative to herself as the wronged party and hope that the court of public opinion would take her side. I was hesitant to respond publicly, especially since my lawyer advised against it. But as more people reached out, I realized staying silent could make things worse. I decided to post a calm, fact-based rebuttal. I included the HR letter, Jake's recording, and a timeline of events to lay everything out clearly. I didn't attack Lisa or make any accusations, I just shared the facts. The response was overwhelmingly supportive. People could see the contrast between my calm explanation and Lisa's emotional performance. Many began calling her out for her manipulation. Some even commented directly on her video, asking for proof of her claims or pointing out inconsistencies in her story. Lisa's video backfired in a big way. Instead of gaining sympathy, she faced growing scrutiny. Relatives who had initially defended her started distancing themselves, either apologizing to me directly or quietly fading into the background. Jake's research into her past drama added more fuel to the fire, with several relatives privately admitting they should have seen the pattern sooner. Amid the chaos, my grandparents decided it was time for another family intervention. They called a meeting and invited everyone, including Lisa. Predictably, Lisa refused to attend, claiming she was too emotionally drained to face the family. Without her there, the meeting turned into a broader discussion about how the family could move forward. My grandparents made it clear they were tired of the drama and wanted peace. My younger siblings, who had mostly stayed quiet until now, expressed their frustration. They were angry that Lisa's actions had disrupted the reunion and strained relationships within the family. Their comments seemed to hit home with some of the relatives who had tried to stay neutral. Then came the turning point. My grandparents proposed a family vote to decide whether Lisa should be invited to future reunions. It was an unprecedented move, but they felt it was the only way to resolve the issue once and for all. They made it clear that Lisa would only be welcomed back if she apologized and made amends. The vote wasn't unanimous, but the majority sided with the grandparents. Lisa's defenders were visibly upset, but even they couldn't ignore the mounting evidence against her. My grandparents announced their decision: Lisa would not be invited to the next reunion unless she took responsibility for her actions. When Lisa heard about the vote, she declared she was done with the family. She claimed the entire situation was a smear campaign against her and vowed to cut ties with anyone who sided against her. True to form, she framed herself as the victim, refusing to acknowledge any wrongdoing. After the dust settled, there was a sense of relief among most relatives. Many expressed sadness over how far things had escalated, but were glad to see some resolution. The decision to hold Lisa accountable marked a turning point for the family, with several relatives resolving to avoid drama at future gatherings. I shared this update on Reddit, thanking everyone for their advice and support throughout this ordeal. The feedback was incredibly encouraging, with many users commending the family for taking a stand. Others warned that Lisa might not stay silent for long, but for now the focus is on moving forward. This chapter feels like it's closing, but knowing Lisa, I wouldn't be surprised if there's another twist. I'll keep you all posted. Update 5. Months have passed since the family voted to exclude Lisa from reunions unless she apologized and made amends. The fallout has been quieter than I expected. Lisa, who thrives on attention, shocked everyone by going silent. She cut off contact with most of the family and deactivated her social media accounts. It was a drastic move, and while it gave everyone some breathing room, it left a strange void where her chaos used to be. In the months since, I've grown closer to my siblings and Jake. Jake's loyalty throughout the ordeal has been unwavering, and we've spent a lot of time reflecting on everything that happened. My siblings, who were initially more removed from the drama, have stepped up as a strong support system. The shared frustration over Lisa's actions has oddly brought us closer together. The absence of Lisa and her drama has been a blessing for family gatherings. Without the constant tension, the atmosphere has shifted. Relatives who used to thrive on gossip seem less interested in stirring the pot, and conversations feel lighter, more genuine. It's like the family collectively realized how toxic things had become and decided to prioritize peace. Even the few relatives who initially defended Lisa have distanced themselves from her. They've stopped mentioning her entirely, and their quiet withdrawal speaks volumes. It's as if they've finally accepted what the rest of us already knew: Lisa's behavior was indefensible. Over time, several relatives who doubted me have reached out to apologize. Some sent messages while others pulled me aside during gatherings to admit they were wrong. It hasn't been easy to rebuild trust, but I appreciate the effort they've made. Hearing things like "I should have believed you from the start" has been bittersweet, but it's a step in the right direction. A few weeks ago, my grandparents had a minor health scare. Thankfully, everything turned out fine, but it was a wake-up call for the family. It reminded us all of what's truly important: supporting each other and spending time together. The scare seemed to solidify everyone's commitment to avoiding drama and focusing on what matters. Out of the blue, Lisa emailed me. It was short and vague, claiming she didn't mean to hurt anyone and that she hoped we could move past everything. She stopped short of a direct apology, which didn't surprise me. It felt like another half-hearted attempt to shift blame without actually taking responsibility. I responded politely but firmly. I told her I was open to moving forward, but I needed a genuine apology and a clear acknowledgement of her actions before I could trust her again. She hasn't replied, and honestly, I don't expect her to. Jake and I have agreed on new boundaries for future family events. We're determined to avoid situations where someone like Lisa could wreak havoc again. If she does try to return to the fold, she'll be met with clear expectations for accountability and respect. We're not going to let history repeat itself. This entire experience has been a crash course in dealing with false accusations and toxic relationships. If there's one thing I've learned, it's the importance of standing up for the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. The legal process, while stressful, gave me the tools to protect myself and push back against Lisa's attempts to ruin my reputation. I've also learned to appreciate the value of a strong support system. Jake, my siblings, and even my parents showed me that having people in your corner makes all the difference. Recently, my grandparents organized a smaller family gathering without Lisa. It went smoothly. No tension, no awkward silences, just good food and genuine conversations. For the first time in a long while, it felt like the family could relax and enjoy each other's company. It was a reminder of what these reunions are supposed to be about. While Lisa has been quiet within the family, rumors have started circulating that she's creating drama in another social circle. Apparently, she's pulled similar stunts with friends, fabricating stories and playing the victim when confronted. It's frustrating, but not surprising. At least this time, it's not our family caught in the crossfire. Looking back, this ordeal was exhausting, but also eye-opening. It taught me how to stay calm under pressure, how to navigate family politics, and how to protect myself from people who thrive on manipulation. More importantly, it strengthened my relationships with the people who truly matter. My siblings, Jake, and my parents have proven time and time again that they're in my corner, and I'll never take that for granted. I shared this final update on Reddit to thank everyone who supported me along the way. The advice, encouragement, and shared stories made a huge difference when things felt overwhelming. If there's one takeaway I can share with anyone dealing with a similar situation, it's this: don't let the fear of confrontation stop you from standing up for yourself. Truth has a way of coming out, and the people who matter will see it. For now, I'm focusing on my career, my family, and building a brighter future. Lisa may still find ways to stir the pot elsewhere, but as far as I'm concerned, this chapter is closed.